Alright, I welcome everyone to this class on public sector accounting. So this class will be looking at the public sector as an institution. We also look at the government as a regulator and the institution for responsible for controlling the whole of the nation as well. Then move into public sector accounting, objective of public sector accounting, then difference between the public sector and public sectors, and the various acts or regulations that has been made to enhance the control of the public sector. Alright, so let's have a look. Alright, so introduction to public sector accounting. So thereafter we'll move to public sectors are organizations which are not privately owned or operated, but which are established, run and financed by government on behalf of the public. Alright, so if you look at that definition, we can say that we have the government there. So the public sector as an institution, they are not privately owned and they are established and run by the government on behalf of the public. The government is highly responsible for the whole of the nations. So as a result of that, they also participate in the economic activities. So they own all of the condition of public institutions in the countries, and they are responsible to make use of authority to run the affairs of the country. So the government is a key institutions as far as the nation is concerned. Alright, so for public sectors, they make sure that what happen, all the public sector that has been formed as an public enterprise are effectively run, and there is availability of accountability, just so as to ensure that the institutions are properly operated. That's why they can easily establish their aim of improving the members the public welfare. Alright, so any institution that in which the government owned and operated and then are being financed by the government and now public sector. So let's move to the aspect of public sector accounting. So what is then public sector accounting? Public sector accounting, before we move to public sector accounting, we understand what public sector is. So what is then accounting as a concept? We should know what accounting actually stands for. Accounting as a concept usually deals with recording some aspect of past transaction or historical transaction, and then when we record, we try to analyze and summarize and then interpret and then give some kind of assessment through interpretation or whatsoever, in that to enhance decision making of whosoever might need it. The same thing applies to public sector. Public sector as an institution is not an exception. So there's usually needs to record all of its activities, you understand, to classify its activities and then to give some kind of information to those that will be needing it. So those that will be needing it might be citizens and non-citizens of the nation. So public sector accounting therefore includes the process of recording, analyzing, classifying, summarizing, communicating and interpreting financial information about government in aggregate and in details, recording all transactions involving the receipt, the transfer and disposition of public funds and property. So this is just the direct definition that suits this class. So it involves the recording of all government activities, classifying it, having a summarization of it, communicating, interpreting it. So I have everything in details and in aggregation. So and ensure that all of the receipts transferred to public funds are being properly accounted for. Alright, when talking about recording, you know what recording is. Recording involves trying to have something to be easily available for future reference. So through recording what happened, past or historical transaction or activities can easily be captured for future reference. Alright, analyzing actually involves we trying to put some kind of expenditure or revenue in some kind of head or sub head, All right, so we know okay, this is where this category is falls. This is where it falls, just for easily reference. All right, and classifying that might actually involve you to know, okay, this is revenue, this is expenditure. Okay, this what we have here is a form of expenditure and just like that. So classify them according to their feature, their function and types. All right, so summarizing, you summarize what you have, then you have to communicate, because some users of the public sector account don't really know much about the aspect of accounting. So you need to communicate and interpret such informations about, and all the information you are interpreting is not about the business or whatsoever. It's about the government as an institution. So you have to give necessary information on that and things like that. So let's move to the next aspect. So it simply means you are trying to apply accounting to the public sector. That is all about public sector accounting. Okay, so let's look at the objective of public sector accounting. So what do you think might be the objective? Why is there a need for you to ensure accountability in the public sectors? All right, so the objective of public sector accounting include the following. And the first one, we have ascertaining the legitimacy of transactions and their compliance with the established norms, regulation, and status. So the major aim is to ensure that transactions are legitimately recorded and they are comply with laws, regulation, and status. Yeah, because all of the public institutions that are in existence in the country are backed up by status, and their financial regulations, their norms, in which those that are responsible for managing this are to follow. So in that regard, there must be proper recording of all transactions during the period. So in that regard, we need to ascertain, okay, are these transactions, are they legitimate enough, or are in the preparation? Will they comply with relevant laws and regulations? That is just the first objective. All right, the second objective, we have providing evidence of stewardship. Yeah, so any aspect of accounting is more of like steward. You understand? So the steward, that is the public servants, are they actually, do they serve as steward during the period? You understand? Once someone is a steward, the person is always expected to serve in trust and in honesty. So in that regard, the public servant, are they really steward in the real sense? So provide evidence of that through public sector accounting, assisting planning and control. All right, so we have assisting objective and timely reporting. That's the objective of public sector accounting. And again, we are providing the basis for decision making. Okay, and we have the next one, enhancing the appraisal of efficiency of management, of the efficiency of management. So through public sector accounting, we can easily appraise the management of public sectors, how they are effectively manage the organization or the institution during the period. All right, so that is all. We have other objective again, which might be to ensure that costs are matched at least equivalent benefit accruing therefrom. So we have a lot of information that can be served in the public sector. So let's move to another area, which might be the various users of public sector accounting. So public sector accounting information, once being provided, they serve a lot of uses to their users. So there are varieties of users of the public sector accounting, and these users are being classified either they are being internal or external users. So we have it that users of the public sector accounting can either be internal users or external users. All right, so the internal users include government personnel and managers. All right, so when we talk about the internal users of the government, they are of public sector accounting. They are those that are responsible for managing the public sector itself. So, and they include the first one, we have the labor union, that is those employees of the government, the public servant themselves. They are the internal users, since they are the one responsible for carrying out the aspect of public sectors. All right, so we have members of the executive arm of government. So we have different members of the executive arm of government that are responsible, just like, for example, the president of the country, Muhammadu Buhari, your president now. All right, so is one of the internal users of the board of the public sectors, the governors of the states, chairman of local government, the chairman of local government, commissioners, all of the executives. Just think, reasons any anybody that's that serves within the public, any appointment post or whatsoever, if falls under the executive arms of government, is also in the public sector. So we also have we also have top management members. We have some top management members in the government, ministries and parastatals. You understand? So those kind of top members, management members, are usually part of the internal users. So just think in our government, MDs, military and military departments, and also agencies, government military department and agencies. So all of them are the top management there are also internal users of the work of the government, and that might include the permanent secretaries of various ministries. Just think of the permanent ministry and secretaries of them. So we can have the chief executive of our status. So they all form part of the work, part of the internal user as well. All right, so I think that is all about the internal user. So in the external users, we can have they include the outsider. External users include the outsider. The outsider of those that are, okay, sorry. Includes users. External users include the outsider that are not responsible for administration of government activities, or include those that are outside the administration of government activities. That might be what I intend to write. So we can actually have the National Assembly, just think, member of the legislative arm of government. All right, so they also need the public sector accounting information about the government, about how the executive award have managed the affairs of the ministries and departments, or any government agencies. They need information. National Assembly, the House of Assembly of the states, National Assembly, whether it's the Senate or the House of Representatives, whatsoever it might be, they also need information. So, right, legislative arm, sometimes serve as check to the executive arm. So they usually need information about how the affairs of each and every government department and agencies are being managed. So they want to check. So with that, also the executive arm of local government at local levels to also serve as check. All right. So we also have general public. You understand? With general public also need accounting information. So we want to know how, as just that in our country is always otherwise. So the public has no say. You know your president. All right. So we have the next one. We have government other than the reporting government. All right. So sometimes the government of other nations might be interested in how how public institutions is generally working in a particular nation. So let's say Nigeria, for instance. The US government might be so interested in how the executive arms are actually managing the public institutions, and to check for their effectiveness. And that might sometimes is also serve as a point of reference to check on how the constitution is working, how the financial institution is working, effectiveness of managing the country's affairs and things like that. So sometimes it might serve as a form of comparison for nations to check and serve a point of improving on their own also. Okay, foreign and local creditors can as well. Government borrows, so two public debts, either domestic or foreign. So as well, we can have the previous researchers that will need the accounting information, public accounting information for research. And as well, we have international institutions like International Monetary Fund, World Bank, African Development Bank. All of these serves as well as a user, as an external user as well. So we have foreign investors as well. So all of these are the various external users in the public sector. So let's move to the next aspect, the differences between private sector and public sectors. Alright, so private sector is entirely different from what from the public sectors. Alright, so the first difference we have, okay, the comparison between the private sectors, between the private sector and the public sector can be made on the following basis. So we can have the aims. We can use the aims on the basis of aim to differentiate between private sector and public sectors. Okay, how can we differentiate that through the aims? We know that, okay, the aims of private sectors is usually on the aspect of profit maximization, making of profit, increasing shareholders' wealth, trying to satisfy their shareholders by making profit, taking on profitable investment. That is the primary. That is the primary aim. That is the primary aim of private sector. Alright, but in the public sector, it is otherwise. Public sector are not established to make profit or whatsoever. There are many established to satisfy the well-being and welfare of the citizens. You understand? Improve on the welfare, carry on signs of services that aims at improving the citizen welfare and things like that. So public sectors accounting focuses on the provision of adequate welfare to the people with probity, accountability, legal and wise spending in mind. So accountability is a key. Issues of transparency is a key as far as public sector is concerned. Alright, so that is source of revenue. Alright, in the private sector, we know that the source of revenue in the private sector is mainly due from the sales. Are you with me? For sales of goods, yeah. That is primary source of what of revenue to the private sector. Private sector embark on some form of economic activities in the creation of value added by creating goods and find a way of selling the goods to the people in order to generate some kind of revenue. You understand? They can have other source of revenue, maybe in the aspect of receiving commissions and things like that. But the primary is from the sales of what they are producing. Alright, why in the public sector? Public sector has a lot of varieties of sources. Like the mainstream of sources in the public sector is through transactions. You understand? Government also have can also earn revenue. The main source of revenue rather to the government is through taxation. Tax serve as the main source of revenue to the government. So the government also have other sources like through fees, registration fees, licenses. You understand? Through fines. Government can as well receive grants. I think government at any level, either at the federal level, state level, or local level, they can receive grants. You understand? And as well, we have taking of loans or debt, either domestic or external, serve as revenue to the government, and that is what government using they're using managing the affairs of the public sector. Alright, so we can have as well on the basis of accounting. Alright, so for private sector, if it's on the basis of accounting, for private sector, the basis of accounting is on what? On an accrual basis. On an accrual. We're still going to talk about that in this class. So it's on an accrual basis. So, and public sector is on what? Is on cash basis. So public sector accounting is on cash basis, while private sector is on accrual basis. Alright, so we'll talk about what accrual basis is all about. For accrual basis, what happen? We have issues of debtors and creditors because transactions are recorded not when cash is received, but what happen as when obligation has been carried on, and as well then when expenditure has been incurred. So why cash in the public sector basis, what happen? Cash is only recognized when it is being received. Alright, so These just the differences between the accrual basis and what and cash basis in the private and public sector. All right. So although with the issues of ESAPs now, when you get to the aspect, we still talk about ESAPs, International Public Sector Accounting Standard. So in the International Public Sector Accounting Standard, we now have the accrual basis of accounting in the public sector. So some public sector or public sector are now required to acquire to make use of the accrual basis in the preparation of their record. Alright, but this is not at this stage. We still have to differentiate between it at this stage. Alright, so we now have the next one. The next difference is that assets are written off over their useful life in private sector. Yeah, immediately the assets are being bought, what happens? They will be written off, they will be spread over their useful life. While in public sector, assets are written off immediately they are purchased. So there is no record of assets in the cash basis. So that is just one we should know. Okay, as well, we have accountability. Yeah. So we know that the private sector are mainly accountable to their owners. So all of the record that has been made there, all of the accounting systems, all of the accounting informations, main aim of accountability is to give it to the owners of the business in the private sector, while accountability and transparency in the public sector goes to the public. So the public since the government is running the public sector on behalf or in trust for a member of the public or for the citizens. So in that regard, they are accountable to them, to their entire accountable to the electorate, but they are the one that actually put them into power. Alright, so about that section. So let's move to constitutional and regulatory framework of public sector accounting. Alright, so it's important to know that in the public sector, there are regulations, there are guidelines. There are guidelines, as I've said earlier on, there are laws and some form of financial regulation, some regulation that tends to apply as far as public sector is concerned, so as to ensure the accountability and transparency in the public sectors. So in that regard, the major regulatory framework in the public sector is the Constitution. So the Constitution it's usually a key as far as, so majorly any reference, anything that needs to come actually is being taken from the Constitution of the country. So and every country usually have its constitution, and constitution is like more of like laws and some kind of principles that tends to guide both the electorate and the elected ones. So in that regard, Constitution of Nigeria 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria actually is a good reference as far as to ensure accountability and transparency of public officers. So the 1999 Constitution, some section of it actually speaks. We have a lot of sections of it that actually speaks on on the different aspect of public sectors. So we look at the various sections. So public sector accounting is guided by the Constitution and financial regulation. So we have 1999 constitutional provisions of the Republic of Nigeria. So 1999 constitution actually makes some provisions like expected. So or anything, you just go to the sections that is needed when issues are actually occurs as far as authorization. You understand the power of statutory officers, the power of the accountant general, auditor general. Everything is being specifically specified in the Constitution. All right, so we have the first one here. We have section 80, section 1 to 4, and that aspect of the Constitution basically it's based on the establishment and operation of the Consolidated Revenue Fund. So I discussed there. So anything that involves Consolidated Revenue Fund is found under this section. So I will implore you to take your time, write them down, try to know them often. Each section, what is all about. So from section 1 to subsection 1 to 4 of the section 80 is basically based on the CRF, Consolidated Revenue Fund. So it establishes it and talks about its operation. Alright, so we also have section 81, subsection 1 to 4 is on this position to the provision for authorization of expenditure from the consolidated revenue fund. So consolidated revenue fund is more of like the federal government account, you understand, and specifically there must be some provision on how to operate such fund, and how was the right authorizations and guidelines must be given on how to issue expenditures out of the fund. So this section here of the constitution gives provisions, are you me? So on the procedure as far as authorization from the consolidated revenue fund is concerned. So you need to know them. They are very, very key. Now section 82, where there is no appropriation act as yet, this section authorizes the president to withdraw money from the consolidated revenue fund of the federation for 6 months. That was when they will have any issues of appropriation act. But when appropriation act has now comes in, this section is now really, really relevant, because with the appropriation act, the president can literally do spend money in as much as the National Assembly as well as ratify such words and give the president the authority to embark on such. Alright, so section 83, this provides for the creation of contingencies funds. Alright, so we have section 84, the remuneration of the president and other statutory officers are covered by this section. So how the president is remunerated and other statutory officers of the federation. So this section covers it. So you can see that the constitution is a very, very key. So we have the audit of public account is discussed in this, and how the public account is to be audited. Section 85 is talk about that. So you need to know that there are keys. You can be asked on objective or short answer questions. So we have section 86 to 80 and 87. This section here through the appointment and tenure of the Auditor General for the Federation. So this section talks about how the Auditor General, you can check your constitution if you have the app. This section here, 86 and 87, talks about how the Auditor General of the Federation is to be appointed, and as well the tenure of office of the Auditor General, its power and everything like that will be discussed in this section. Yeah, this section of 86 and 87. Alright, so we also have section 88 and 89. These sections gives power to the National Assembly to conduct investigation and procure all evidence needed. So since the constitution has specified, so what happens, this means as far as the National Assembly is concerned, they can carry on investigation, you understand, as far as financial issues of accountability and transparency is concerned in the public sector. So we also have section 149, ministers are constitutionally required to declare their assets and liabilities and oath of allegiance. So section 149 is usually speaks on the ministers. So any ministerial post, you are expected to declare your assets and liabilities and take an oath to occupy that position. So we also have some other aspects. Other section, we have section 162. Under this section, the federation as an entity is statutorily required to create the federation account. So there must be a federation account. That is the account that will enable the distribution of the resource of the country resources among the various levels. So that is so into which all revenue collected by the government of the federation section is paid. Alright, so the summarization is paid. So while section 163 this with the collection of other revenues. So section 164 federal grant in age of state revenue as we said here. Alright, so I think that is all. Let's move to another aspect now. Okay, we still have section 313. The system of revenue allocation is dealt with in this session. So revenue allocation is how revenues will be allocated between the federal government, state government, and the local government. Section 1.3.13 deals with that. Alright, so we have apart from the various section of the constitution, apart from the constitution, so we also have some kind of regulations, some acts that tends to regulate the various so public institution. We have various acts in place. Okay, so there are many acts that have been in place. The first one here we have the Finance Act, which is the Financial Control and Management. So Act, we have that in place. So we have different financial regulations that has been said earlier on. So we have the Finance Act of 1958. So what is the Finance Act? Finance Act of 1958 has be a major act, or let me just say law, that has been in existence all this while. So since 1958, that has been in existence, and tends to regulate at issues of finance, use of public funds. So it emphasized the law that ensures what the authorization of expenditure by the word of government funds. So it prescribed the book of accounts to be operated. It was to be adopted in the preparation of financial accounts, and financial statements. So financial act is key as far as public sector is concerned. We also have Audit Ordinance of 1956, or Act of 1956. All right, so these are also as well being the this why. So and it mandates the Accountant General of the Federation to furnish the Auditor General for the Federation with their current financial statement. So this is an audit. This actually makes law as far as auditing is concerned. That okay, the Accountant General of the Federation had the responsibility, AGF had the responsibility to furnish the current financial statement to the Auditor General, and is responsible to audit towards the country's financial statement, and the Auditor General shall within 60 days, of the receipt of the Accountant General financial statement, submit these reports to each of the House of Assembly or National Assembly. So the National Assembly will receive the report of the Auditor General after 2 months, once he has been given such financial statement by the Accountant General. So this, you can see that the Act is a very key one as far as procedures in the public sector is concerned. So what happened? The Accountant General is responsible for the declaration of the government financial statement. So he had then mandates the Accountant General, the AGF, to make such financial statement that he has prepared to the Auditor General for what? Or just to ensure transparency and fairness of such statements, and for ratification, or I would like for auditing. So in that regard, the Auditor General then also have some limit, time constraint, a period of 60 days to go through such and give report to the National Assembly. All right, so we have Appropriation Act as well, and in the Appropriation Act, we have the money bills that are passed to become Appropriation Act. So this usually comes from the executive arms, that is the president. So any money bill, any money that is to be spent, you understand, can sometimes becomes an act, and then once being ratified by the National Assembly, as far as public spending is concerned, so such spending can become an act, and once passed into law, it becomes an act. So what happened? The president will submit such to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly will look at such spending and see with their reasonableness, and okay, let this spending becomes an act, let it become public spending, and so on like that. So they regulate financial matters, including the payment and withdrawals from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, which is the government account. So Appropriation Act are passed yearly for the use of public fund, so as to render services in the years to which they relate. Alright, so Appropriation Act is very key additional spending is concerned. Alright, we have the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 as well. Alright, so the Act provides for the prudent management of the nation's resources, that they must be prudent with management of the country's resources, ensure long-term macroeconomic stability of the national economy, to give greater accountability and transparency in the operation within a medium-term fiscal policy framework. So this kind of responsibility is actually saying that each public service officers or servant must ensure that they are highly responsible for the proper management of the country's natural resources and no, there must be variation of the medium-term expenditure framework. You understand that showing the macroeconomic framework, the framework on revenue and expenditure, the budget preparation target, debt and indebtedness, borrowing, transfer, and accountability. So this kind of actually speaks on that in ensuring what economic development and the effective management of what of the nation's resources. All right, now we have the Public Procurement Act 2007 as well. In Public Procurement Act, it usually deals with aspect of procurement, so procuring and purchasing government properties and goods. So it gives guidelines on how such is to be acquired. You understand the limited expenditure, authorizations to procure or purchase government properties. So this is an act which established the National Council on Public Procurement. Okay, and all these organs, the Bureau of Public Procurement as the regulatory authorities responsible for monitoring and oversight of the public procurement, addressing the existing government policy by regulating setting standard and developing the legal framework and professional capacity for public procurement in Nigeria. So the act sets standard for organizing procurement, method of procurement of work and goods, consultancy, giving of contracts, understand, non-consultancy services, as well as procurement approval, thresholds for the Bureau of Public Procurement, tender boards, and accounting officers for all ministries, departments, and agencies. That is all about that. So let's talk about the basis of accounting now. So we've talked about the regulatory framework and the constitutional framework of what of public sector. Now we have different bases of accounting. No, we talked about we have just two major bases. We have the accrual basis and the cash basis. So this refers to how transactions of the government are recognized and recorded in the accounting books. So some common bases of accounting that are used are the cash and the accrual basis of accounting. So let's look at those various bases of accounting. The first thing, we have the accrual basis, so is the cash basis in there. And for the cash basis, as I have said earlier on, what happened? Cash are only recognized when there has been cash payment and cash receipts for government revenue and expenditure. So this is specifically applied in the public sectors. So as we can see, the cash basis of accounting represents the movement of cash as the basis of recognizing the income and expenses. So once there must be movement of cash during the period before such of income or revenue and expenses will be recognized. So if there is no payment of cash or receipt of cash during the period, revenue and expenses are not what to be recognized in the period. So once money is received, income is what recognized, and once money is paid out, what happens? Expenditure as well will be recognized in the period. So expenses recognized as having been made once payment is made, whether that benefit has been received or not. Once cash has gone out, what happens? We have to what? Recognize such as expenses. So whether we have received the benefit of paying that expenses or not, it doesn't matter. So that's the aspect of cash basis of accounting. Now for accrual basis of accounting, is the opposite of cash basis. Are you with me? So what happened? Income are recognized once the government has in one way or the other performed its obligations, and you understand, so there will be easily recognition of revenue or income during the period, and expenses will as well be recognized once such has been incurred. You understand? So it doesn't matter whether cash comes in or not, or whether there is movement of cash or not during the period. So it's opposite of this. So in the recognition of income and expenditures during the period is on the basis of obligations and enjoyment of benefits. So if one way or the other the government has performed its obligation during the period, so there is need for recognition of revenue or income during the period. So it doesn't matter whether there is cash movement or cash is being received in the period or not. It doesn't matter on the accrual basis. As also expenses we recognize once such has been incurred, and the benefit has been received by the government, so there is need for recognition of expenses. It doesn't matter whether the government has paid for it or not. Alright, so we can have accrual basis of accounting uses the notion of legal obligation to record financial transactions. So the recognition of revenue or expenditure under this technique does not depend on the point in time when cash moves as either receipt or payment, as with the cash basis. The company says that the transactions and event of entity should always be recorded in the periods in which the services are rendered or received, rather than in the period in which cash is received or paid. So it is as well acquired basis. That means actually this with periodicity as well. So once such income is being earned in the period, so it should be recognized. And as well, once the expenses is being incurred in this period, it should be recognized. It is not whether they are received or paid. So receipt or payment of cash in the period does not determine its recognition. This base of accounting leads to the recognition of credit transactions in the preparation of financial statement of public sector organizations. So once it's been applied. So I said that earlier on that with the issues of international public sector accounting standard, it serves accurate basis. So we have each of the public enterprises are now required to acquire the basis of acquire basis of accounting in the preparation of financial statement. So if cash basis is being applied, what will happen? So we expect that issues of debtors and creditors will not be in such statement. So and when we have applied the accurate basis, what happen? There will be debtors and creditors and recognition of what? Of assets in the statement of financial position. Okay, so we have the issues of modified accrual basis. Yeah, in the issues of modified accrual basis, so is that it combines the cash and accrual basis of recognizing revenue. So what will happen? Cash basis and accrual basis is what is being applied while recognizing what? Revenue. So the modified concept recognizes revenue when cash is made available and can be measured. So revenue is recognized and recorded when cash has been received or collectible in some future times. So it means in the modified accrual basis, revenue will be recognized on a cash basis, while expenses will be recognized on an accrual basis. So it applies the issues of the two. So cash basis will be applied for revenue in a modified accrual basis, and what happens? Expenses will be still based on that accrual basis. Let's look at the modified cash basis. In the modified cash basis of accounting technique, then we actually focus on the fact that okay, the accounting books of the government institution are not closed at the end of the year, but are open for some period at the beginning of the year. So receipts made during the year, which relate to the past period are recorded and accounted for as revenue of the previous period. So the modified cash basis as well, any kind of revenue in a particular period, I relate to the particular period, to the past period, are accounted for as to the what in the previous period. So it bringing some issues of periodicity of accrual basis in its use. Okay, so we have the committed basis here. So revenue commitment basis. So in the use of commitment basis used by the government, revenue and expenses are what let me just say expenses is being recognized once government has taken the decision of what of carrying out such expenditure. Yeah, that is just the so once government is being committed to a particular public expenditure, that is when the decision has been taken to embark on such, what happen? Expenses will be recognized immediately. It doesn't matter whether government has paid for it or not. So or whether government has received a benefit or not. So once there has been there has been some kind of decisions to embark on acquisition of goods, public property, payment of whatsoever. So once government is being committed to public expenditure, what happen? There should be recognition to such, and it doesn't matter whether it has one way or the other paid for it or it has enjoying the benefit. I don't know. So the accounting technique recognizes expenses as soon as the acquisition decision are taken. As soon as a decision is taken for the acquisition of a service or goods, accounting records for that begin, and cash is set aside for such cost. For financial transactions are therefore recorded as soon as commitment has been made. So it is not when the movement of cash for transaction or when there is documentary evidence in the form of invoice. That's when recognition will be required. So commitment basis is highly used in the public sector as well. So